for next week as well. So it's going to be one of those stressful times, and we've seen this in years past. I thought we would avoid it this year because of how cold we stayed through February, but this 1 week just really, really did it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because in years past, it's been because it's been a mild winter and everything started early. You're right. This year, I'm like, oh, we'll be fine because it stayed cold through the end of February. But it's like March started, it got warm, and it just stayed warm. I mean, I have to go back and look now that we're 12 days into the month. The first 12 days are definitely probably the warmest 12 days we've seen for a March. It just allowed everything. Even driving into work today, Tim, I was noticing how green everything was. I'm starting to see leaves on some of our trees. Like, they're not budding anymore. They're actually totally leafing out. And so to get a frost and freeze in the middle of March is not that crazy. It really was the length of the warm-up that started the month that kind of put us in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I just looked it up for us. We are first warmest for March so far. We're 14 degrees above mean, above average to start the month, which is just insane. And that's number one by a while. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at ours too. So yeah, we're number one right now too, by a half a degree over 1974, which I talked about earlier. 1974 was a really crazy warm start, but we had snow on the 25th of that month. So let that be known that we could still get some. I'm going to look real quickly where Charlotte is from departure from average for the season. So 15 and a half degrees above average already. Yeah, that's insane.
Wow.
I mean, I think we have
a lot
more
of warmth.
Well, and you'll know this, but people don't know. Like, we talk about heating and cooling degree days. It has to do with energy usage. Through the first 12 days of the month, we have more cooling degree days than heating degree days, which tells you people were using their air conditioning more in March than their heat, which is something you don't often hear of in the first half of the month. And probably a lot of people cringe because they had those high energy bills from the cold winter, and you're like, oh, March, I'll get a break. I'll just not run anything. Well, unfortunately, a lot of us had to use our AC.
Yeah. And before we go, if Sean's able to pull this up here, I do have snow video from our area of North Carolina. They said it couldn't happen. Those people named Tim and Brad said it couldn't happen. But it
what do
did.
they know?
We got a couple snowflakes. A lot of us had sleep pellets in the Triad area, Brad, just for like 15 minutes. But right along the Virginia border, this is in Rockingham County, they had a couple snowflakes as well that were legit. So there you go. There's your video of the day.
So our model verified. Well, we got some still. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back here tomorrow. We've got more WCNC Plus and WFMY Plus coming up after the break.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Colin Mayfield inside the Impact Studio here on WCNC Plus. We're going to go to the president, who is speaking about Women's History Month. The First Lady speaking about it also. Let's go to this now.
Good afternoon. Please sit down. It is wonderful to see here in the White House so many incredible women this afternoon. The strength of America is closely tied to the role women play in shaping their children's character, education, and morals. The values cultivated within our communities shape the voice and vision of our next generation. A woman's influence strengthens our democracy, capital markets, and time-tested business institution. Across the country today, women are finding unique ways to balance career ambition and family. We all know these incredible women. They dominate America's workforce now more than ever before. As a visionary, I know success is not born overnight, but rather takes shape after a long and sometimes challenging process. Often alone at the top, I follow my passion, listen to my instinct, and always maintain a laser focus. In solitude, my creative mind dances, filling my imagination with originality. Attention to detail, demanding schedules, and multitasking are everyday realities when building towards success. The principle resonates across all my roles as a mother, humanitarian, philanthropist, and entrepreneur. As well as with my new film, where I shaped its creative direction, served as a producer, managed post-production, and activated the marketing campaign. Curiosity is a core value that keeps me ahead of the curve. Curiosity begets knowledge, opening doors to ideas and industry that I have otherwise overlooked. This unrestricted mindset has led me to build across very different sectors: fashion, digital assets, publishing, accessories, skincare, commercial television, and of course, filmmaking. The lessons I learned when launching my earliest ventures, such as how to build a brand, create superior product design, and activate an advertising campaign, remains just as relevant today. Markets evolve, technologies change, but the fundamentals of thoughtful leadership and continuous learning are everlasting. To all of the young women, entrepreneurs, and future leaders, make time for yourself, educate yourself daily, and spread your passion. Be courageous and take risks. Advance your profession through inspiration. Be a bold chief executive while keeping your family, if you choose so, at the center of your nation's future. And now, it is my privilege to introduce our Commander-in-Chief, who throughout his career has demonstrated a strong commitment to promoting women in leadership roles. Please welcome the President, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much. Movie star, can you believe this? Can you believe it? That wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to have a nice, normal life. But she's terrific and big success. And I think it was #1 last night streaming. It went on streaming last night. It was #1. So I don't know. Maybe she's getting a little too big for the White House. We'll have to think about it. Anyway, thank you, honey. She really is something. I want to really congratulate you, and I want to thank everyone for being here today. Very exciting. It's always exciting to be with you. We love women. Women are the whole deal, okay? And today is very special because we celebrate Women's History Month. That's what it's about every year. And before we begin, I want to send our love to the Michigan Jewish community and all of the people in Detroit area following the attack on the Jewish synagogue early today, and I've been briefed, fully briefed, and it's a terrible thing, but it goes on. We're going to be right down to the bottom of it. It's absolutely incredible that things like this happen. On another front, an entirely different front, the situation with Iran is moving along very rapidly. It's doing very well. Our military is unsurpassed. There's never been anything like it. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we're doing what has to be done. Should have been done during a 47-year period. Could have been done by a lot of different people. They chose not to do it. But they really are a nation of terror and hate. And they're paying a big price right now. We're honored to be joined by many extraordinary ladies, working moms, and amazing women who are making history themselves. You really are. I want to thank Second Lady Usha Vance, who's a fantastic person. Where is Usha? Usha? And really, you have been such an inspiration to a lot of women. Usha, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And your husband's doing a good job. The youngest and perhaps the best White House press secretary in history. Caroline, where's Caroline? Doing a fantastic job, Caroline. She keeps me straight. She keeps me, no, sir, you can't do that. You can't do this. I can't do anything. Life would be so much more exciting, wouldn't it? Thank you, Caroline. Great. Attorney General Pam Bondi, my friend. Good, good. Got some big things in store. She's doing a great job. Thank you, Pam. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeReamer. Thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, who just had, what did you get, 84, 85% of the vote? What's going on? You know? Now I can tell this story. But Cindy Hyde called me up years ago when she first ran. It was a tough race. It was one of their top people in the White House. I won't mention the president because we don't want to mention anybody. Get yourself in a lot of trouble. But it was their top person, and it looked very tough for any Republican candidate. And Cindy Hyde was the one, and she was not, I don't know, not like the people that knew her loved her, but not a lot of people knew her. And she said, sir, could you do me a favor? Could you give me a rally? I said, a rally's a big deal. And I got there, and she said, would you stay and do another rally in another part of the state? Nobody's ever, and we ended up with 3 of them, and she won in a landslide, right? And now she's at 85%. And now she wins. She doesn't need rallies. I say, do you want me to do a rally? I don't need any rallies, sir. She got 85%. Good. I was so happy to say. Not surprised, but I was so happy. And that's because you've done a great job. Great job. Thank you very much. Representatives, Virginia Fox, my friend for a long time. Virginia, thank you. Kat Kamek. Kat, thank you very much. Thank you, Kat. Diana Harshbarger. Where's Diana? Diana, thank you. A friend of mine, a very talented person, too, very smart, Victoria Sparks. We argue, but we always come to the same place. Doing a good job. And, of course, Kellyanne Conway. Has anyone ever heard of her? She's fantastic. She's in there fighting. She's a Kellyanne. A friend of mine said, you know that Kellyanne, I admire the way she goes in and she screams at those people she's got us, meaning the media, because this is a man that doesn't do very well with the media. It's one of those things. But thank you, Kellyanne. And also, I want to thank the New York Stock Exchange and the person who is so instrumental in its great success, Lynn Martin. Thank you very much, Lynn. Great job. Great job. Say hello to Jeff, right? Thank you very much. Going all the way back to our nation's founding in 1776, America has been strengthened beyond measure by the courage, by the spirit, love, devotion, and the incredible woman. I mean, all of these incredible women who have served our nation, uplifted our communities, pioneered new industries, and been the heart and soul of the American family. And they are the heart and soul. From Martha Washington to Betsy Ross, from Clara Barton to Amelia Earhart, and Rosa Parks to Aretha Franklin, American women have propelled us to even greater heights. And now the Trump administration is working every single day to make America better, safer, and more prosperous for women and men, but much more importantly for women. And they are really the inspiration. They are so powerful and so important and so beautiful. I'm not allowed to use the word beautiful, but I'm using it anyway. Usually it's the end of your political career. If you say a woman's a beautiful woman, they say that's the termination of his career, but somehow it hasn't hurt too much. You're incredible women and you're beautiful women. Well, we're here to celebrate Women's History Month today. We also are celebrating National Working Moms Day, a very special day. And since I took office, we've created more than 300,000 jobs now filled by proud, hard-working American women. It's a record. The number of women-owned businesses increased by 1.2 million last year alone. That's also a record. These are all records. Got a lot of records. Think of that, 1.2 million last year alone, businesses opened by women. Very ambitious people, very, very ambitious, very, very amazing. To support working moms like many in this room, last year we passed the largest tax cuts in American history. So our opponents, as you know, want to raise taxes. We decided to lower taxes. All my life, I've watched politicians. I've only started this about 10 years ago. But I watched politicians, and I watched them so diligently. I loved it. I loved watching. They would say, we will cut your taxes. We're going to cut your taxes. We'll cut your taxes. Even if they didn't mean it, they said it. The Democrats say, we will raise your taxes. I've never heard anything. But maybe that's why we won in a landslide. Maybe. But we did cut your taxes. And that includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. That's a big deal. And with us today is Heather Kell, joined by her 14-year-old beautiful son, Finley. Heather is a single mom and waitress in Hendersonville, North Carolina, a great place. And thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill, she got a big, beautiful tax refund of $4,000 this year, which she didn't expect. And Heather, please come up and tell us how excited you are to receive that. Come on up, Heather. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here today. I have been a waitress for over 20 years, and a lot of the people I've seen come and go in the industry are single moms, and they work hard. They're the hardest working people I know. And then at the end of the year, they're always super stressed out because they don't know where they're going to come up with the extra couple $1,000s that they owe on the taxes. And this year, I had to do a double take. I had to do my taxes twice to make sure this was real. I couldn't believe it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I love that ending. Wouldn't that be? That's from the heart. That's from the heart. Thanks, Heather. Spend it wisely, right? Thank you. Also with us is Nora Pruitt, a proud mom of 7 and a sheet metal worker from Baltimore, Maryland. She's seeing how our manufacturing renaissance is bringing opportunity back to America. And if you would, please come up, Nora. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Nora Pruitt. I'm blessed with a wonderful husband, Jason Pruitt, and my 7 adorable children. working mom. I used to be a housekeeper for 9 years. A year ago, I got a job, a career job, at Marlin Steel Wire Productions in Baltimore, Maryland. I was matched with great pay, a 401k with great match. I got a huge promotion to set up a wire forming machine. We only use USA steel, and we only make in the USA. With the big, beautiful bill, we were able to buy one of the most expensive tools our factory's ever bought. Within that, it totally changed our lives. We were able to buy a 5-bedroom home on an acre of land. I just want to tell you thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. That's pretty good, huh? So we have another person that I'm going to introduce. You know, they said, "Do you mind bringing up 5 people?" I said, "Not really, but it's a lot." Then I looked at him and I said, "How about some more like that? We want more." But thank you. It's great. Great job you did. Another working mom benefiting from our policies is Lexi Chambers. And she's a second-generation farmer from Virginia who's got 2 wonderful daughters, June and Tilly. They're benefiting from our one big, beautiful bill. I always say great, big, beautiful bill because I like it better, Pam. I say, "Sir, that's not the exact." I said, "Don't worry about it. It'll be just fine. Great, big, beautiful bill," because that's what it is. And the $12 billion in farm relief we issued using tariff revenue. We get $12 billion. We took in tremendous amounts of money. We're taking in money because of the tariffs, and really jobs are coming in through the roof, and we have factories being built all over the country. As an example, in the last administration, less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We've taken in $18 trillion plus in 11 months. We haven't included the 12th month yet. So we're at more than $18 trillion, and it's a record in the history of our country. We've never done anything, and that was for a lot of good things. It was because of November 5th, but it was also because of tariffs. So, Lexi, please come up and say a few words. Lexi, come on up, Lexi. You look so beautiful. How are you? Nice to see you. Come on in.
Hi, my daughter June had to join me. She was not one to stay. As a wife of a second-generation Virginia farmer, one of my biggest goals, second to teaching my children to love Jesus above all else, is to ensure that my daughters have the opportunity to farm one day. President Trump, your support of American agriculture through your changes and updates of the estate tax relief for family farms has allowed families like mine the opportunity to ensure that my daughters can farm one day. Thank you for your work on OBBB and your support of the American family farm.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's beautiful. You know, one of the things that we were just thinking about and talking about, and something so important is exactly that. You mentioned, I never mention it, but so big when you want to pass on your farm to your beautiful daughter someday. A lot of people, until we came along, I came along, we all came along together, you had a tremendous estate tax. They call it a death tax. You want the farm to go, well, they had tremendous estate tax. In some cases, they're sort of semi-land rich but cash poor. But that's the way it is sometimes. And farms were being lost all over the country. They were being taken away from the banks. And we ended the death tax. We ended it for the farmers, for manufacturers, and small businesses. So you're not going to be losing your farms anymore. Okay? It's going to be a long time from now, many, many years, 70, 80 years, but it's just going to have no tax to pay, okay? It's going to be in a long time. Thank you very much. That was great. One of the most important ways we can support women is by bringing law and order and public safety back to our country. And for the past 10 months in a row, think of that, 10 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States, which is an amazing number. In 1 year, we've seen the largest decline in murder, in the murder rate, in 125 years. It's back to the year 1900. That's before my father was born. He never liked talking about age. He probably would hate me saying that, but it was before, way before my father was born. And 125 years, the lowest number of murders. And part of that is what we've done with your department, Pam, and what we've done with some other departments, and Homeland has been amazing. So many people have worked so hard. You know, Washington, D.C. did not have a great reputation for security and safety, and now, as you know, it's the single, well, let's just say it's real safe. Because somebody's going to have to be very careful with the fake news media. They will say, well, wait a minute, there was a place in Tennessee that was slightly, it's gone from a very dangerous place where a lot of bad things happen to one of the safest cities in the country. You can come here now, and we've had an amazing record. It's been incredible. It's a real turnaround. Likewise, Memphis, Tennessee, a lot of problems. The mayor called, the governor called, and we went out and did a job. And in 3 months, crime is down 74%, and we'll get it down even beyond that, much beyond that. It was very quick. But I also deployed the National Guard to bring back safety to Memphis and New Orleans and all these other places, and they have done some job. What great people they are. Our capital is now considered, in fact, here's a stat, the safest capital anywhere in the world. How about that? We went from probably the most unsafe. I think we went from the most unsafe to certainly one of the safest. And here today is an outstanding female law enforcement officer keeping her community safe, Sheriff Michelle Cook from Clay County, Florida. Great place, Florida. Come on up. Michelle grew up in a military family, started as an officer almost 35 years ago, and has now been sheriff for nearly 6 years, and she's done a great job, and maybe more importantly, she's a great mom, they say. I think you're a great mom. So thank you very much, Michelle. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, the only place safer than Washington is going to be Clay County, Florida. Okay, all right. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Cook, and I am a 35-year law enforcement veteran, and I currently serve as the elected sheriff in Clay County, Florida. And I'd like to thank the President and Mrs. Trump for having all these beautiful women in here today. Thank you so much. My husband, Don, and I are raising a big, beautiful blended family that includes 6 kids. And there's 2 topics that I know very, very well. That's raising kids and serving my community.
Hey, folks, going to take a quick 2-minute break. Of course, we'll come back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to go back to the president speaking about Women's History Month right now.
Law families can now recognize additional dollars from their hard work. up to $12,500 per individual and up to $25,000 back in the pockets of hardworking Americans who work overtime to make their families happy and to provide the necessities that they need. And I want to say thank you for that, because it is making a difference in Clay County, Florida. I'd also like to talk about law enforcement. As I mentioned, I've done 35 years in this field, and one thing that I will tell you is that crime will rise to the level that a community allows it to rise. And when you have a president of the United States standing up from the White House in the Washington, D.C., saying that we will have law and order in our nation, that sets the tone and that sets the expectation. And I can tell you, it is an honor to serve my community with you at the very top, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. In closing, I would like to say God bless our first responders, God bless our military, God bless our president, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. And she looks like no games. I'm watching her. I'm saying, she looks like a tough one. Thank you. And I hear you do an incredible job. I got the word from Florida. Great honor. As we make our community safe again, my administration is also fighting for school choice and also bringing education back to the states so that you run them, right, Virginia? So that you run them from your local community, not from Washington, D.C. And we've done that, and Linda McMahon has done an incredible job, by the way. And that's done so that American moms can send their children to a school that shares their values and everything else. The Trump administration listens to women and moms, which is why we are doing more to help women struggling with infertility than any administration in history. This all started when I got a call from Katie Britt, a great senator from Alabama. I don't know if she's here, but I never said be here. But she did call me and she said, listen, we have a problem. And she explained the problem. I wasn't that familiar with it, I must tell you. But after about 2 minutes, I understood it very well. And we really took that issue, infertility. We took the whole situation with what was happening. So many bad things were happening throughout the country, and we solved it with my most favored nation agreements that we just had approved by other countries, just about all the countries all over the world, which had, they always said, Kellyanne, you couldn't get them to do it. I got them all to do it, and the calls lasted not even that long a period. I said, you got to do it, because we were paying the highest price anywhere in the world for drugs and prescription drugs, and now we're paying the lowest price anywhere in the world. They had to agree to it. They did. They had to agree. They said it would be impossible to get. The drug companies had to get them, but they didn't care because they said, you'll never get the countries, but I got the countries quickly. I said, listen, Emmanuel, like France, just as an example, you have to double the price of your drugs. You'll still be low, but you have to double them. No, 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 I will not do that, Donald. I will not do that. Are you crazy? I'm not going to double the price. But this has gone on for 35 years. And I said, no, you're going to do it. You're going to, no, no, I will not do it. Yes, you are. And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't do it, I'm going to put a big tariff on everything coming in from France or whatever country, because I made numerous of these calls. And it took me, the first answer was always, no, 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 Donald, I will not do it. The second answer was like, well, I agreed to do it. And every single country agreed. And because of that, we are cutting your drug prices by 60, 70, 80, and even 90%. Can you believe that? That's the biggest thing to happen in medicine in so long. And when you think about it, you know, it used to be, I had a time, we had a very successful first term, best economy ever. We did a lot of great things. We rebuilt our military. That's one of the reasons we're doing so well now with our military. I never thought I'd have to be using it so much. But when you look at what they did in Venezuela and now what they're doing in Iran, it's been amazing. But when you look at all of this, everybody was saying that this could never be done with the drugs. It could never be done. And in my first term, I was so proud of myself because I was able to cut the drugs 1/4 of a pence. Now, this doesn't sound so good, but I was proud. 28 years, drug costs went up, and it never stopped. It went up, up, up. And I had, in my 3rd year, I cut drugs by 1/4 of 1%, and it was like a big deal because that never happened before. And I had a news conference. I announced that I cut drugs 1/4. It's the first time in 28 years. But now I cut drug prices by 80%, 75%. A low one, a bad one, would be 50%. Think of it, 1/4 of a percent, I was happy. But you know, with experience, you learn. And these are the biggest drug price cuts this country's ever had by 25 times. And I think it's going to make a very big difference. All you great Congress people back there that helped me, it's going to make a great difference. There's never been anything like it. It's called Most Favored Nation agreements. I got them with all the countries. And so now, instead of paying the highest price in the whole world, we're paying the lowest price in the whole world. So it's pretty good. And I'm very, very happy, very proud of that, actually. It should be the biggest story. I don't get any, nobody wants to write about it. That's why I talk about it. They don't want to write about it. There was a little story like this in the New York Times. Should have been headlines. I picked up the New York Times. I said to my wife, oh, this is a big one. This is going to be front page. I couldn't find the story. I said, oh, they must have been a little bit late. You know, they were a lot late. So I figured it was the next day. I looked the next day. There was nothing. It's unbelievable. How would you like to cut drug prices, Kellyanne? How would you like to cut drug prices by 80% and not have a story about it? Something a little cuckoo there, isn't there? But the people got it. That's why we won. The people got it, Sheriff, right? But I'm also doing something else with, I think was, you know, not much. To me, I say, can this really be possible? We're keeping men out of women's sports. Is that okay with 90% of the people? And we're putting that in the Save America Act as one of our 5. That's voter ID. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. We want no transgender mutilization of your children. We don't want transgender mutilation. That's number 3. We want no men in women's sports. That's number 4. And we don't want to have mail-in voting. Where the votes go, where the hell do they come from? So we do that. It's 5 things. They're all 99%. They say, oh, that's an 80% issue, like voter ID. No, I think it's a 99. I think the Democrats have it at 87%. The leadership doesn't want it. Why don't you want voter ID? There's only one reason. Ready? Because you want to cheat. Okay? They blame it on all sorts of things. They came up, they said it's racist. They came up with things that you have to say their imagination is great. No, we're not going to let them cheat like they did in a certain election that we won't talk about. But that election was... And they cheat now. Look, we're not going to let it happen. So we're going to go get the Save America Act, not the Save Act. Nobody knew what the Save Act meant. The Save Act, what? Save what? Save America Act. And we're going to do everything we can. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe we're having a hard time. I think anybody that votes against it shouldn't be allowed to run for office. You want to know the truth. But we're working very hard on it. It shouldn't be. Every one of those 5 points, every one of them is, I think, close to a 95%. They say voter ID, that's an 80% issue. It's not 80%. It's 99%, I believe, and so are most of the others. So there's 5 points. I call them best of. They're best of Trump, you know, like best of for an athlete. The best plays, best of. These are best of Trump. So hopefully we're going to get them. But I'm also keeping the men out of the women's sports, and I signed an executive order declaring that there are only 2 genders, male and female. Complicated, isn't it? Male and female. I don't think the First Lady's going to have a problem. Am I okay with that one? I'm not, because she will say to me sometimes, I don't like that particular stance. I don't know. That's okay. We like that baby crying. Melania would say, I don't like that particular stance, but I think we're okay on that one. 2 genders, okay? Male and female. I think so. We'll be okay. And we have put the world on notice that America will not allow men to compete against women in the 2028 Olympics, where we have the Olympics. And we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup coming up, and we have 20, really the biggest is 250, and I did all three of them. I did the Olympics, I got the Olympics, then I got the World Cup, then I got 250, but I've never been given credit for that. The men, they won't give me credit for 250 years, but I'm here for 250. I tried to take credit for that, but I haven't been able to get it. But a person that I recognized immediately when I came into the room, I looked down, I said, because I didn't read, I can't, if I prepare my speeches, I won't have time to get things done. You know, do you ever hear that? Yeah, I cannot prepare. So I didn't know who the hell I was speaking to, but I walked in and I saw this beautiful woman with the blonde hair. I watched that bobsled. I don't know how the hell you do it, Kaylee. But Kaylee was the star, big star of the Olympics and other Olympics also. And she's a 6-time Olympic medalist. Think of that. And she's won more gold medals than any other female bobsledder in history. She's a total champion. I watched the whole deal with you. You were getting ready, and they said, maybe, I don't know. She was prime, 8 years ago. They said that was terrible. And then you ended up winning again, you know. You're going to be prime for a long time, I'll tell you that. What a tremendous athlete, and it's an honor. But I literally walked in, and I said, because I don't know most of you, unfortunately, but I knew her, because I watched that whole thing. And she recently got back from Cortina, Italy, where she won 2 bronze medals as America cheered her on, and she's won the golds, and she's won more than anybody else, and it's amazing to have you here, and it's a great honor. Come on up, Kaylee. Please.
Appreciate it. I don't know about braver, but it's a real honor to be here today. Yes, I'm a 6-time Olympic medalist, 3 of them gold, but the title, I'm most proud of is Mom. Yes. Thank you. Yes. My journey to motherhood was a 2.5-year process through IVF. And I was constantly told that as soon as I became a mom, my career in athletics was going to be over. I was never going to reach the Olympic podium again. Mentally, physically, I could never get my body and my mind back. And I think the ultimate way to tell somebody that, they'll never do it, say don't do it, and I'm going to go out and do it. That's just how it goes. The ultimate dream I had was to become a mom and then be able to stand on the Olympic podium. And this year I got to do that with my 1.5-year-old son. Thank you. Yes. So being able to earn these 2 bronze medals, they feel like gold. They really do. He is my gold medal and will always be for the rest of my entire life. As a legal immigrant competing for the United States of America, a country that has adopted me, it's one of the greatest honors I've had in my entire life. Having my 1-year-old son chase me around the Olympic podium, another huge honor and a dream come true. I want to encourage every single mother out there to follow your dreams and don't let anybody put limits on what you believe you can do. The only Olympic medalists we're actually allowed to award what's called the Order of ECOS. So every Olympic medalist in the United States gets an Order of ECOS that they get to hand to somebody in honor and recognition of somebody who's made a meaningful contribution to their journey to the podium, because Olympic medals are never achieved alone. So I am here today, and I'm so honored to present this, my Order of ECOS medal, to you, Donald Trump. Thank you. So we only get one, but I want to recognize the support and the impact you've had on women's sports throughout the Olympic movement, specifically standing up to keep biological women in women's sports, to keep the field of play safe and allow for fair competition. Furthermore, because your policies are creating greater access to IVF, so families like mine can continue to grow as I look to become and expand my family again, I believe this actually makes you the first president in history to ever be awarded an Order of ECOS as well. So thank you. We'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Isn't he just the best? He's the best. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. I knew I liked her. I liked her right from the first second. Now I know why. That's good. That's really nice. Beautiful. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it. So I'm going to now do a little signing. And the signing is going to be very impactful, very important. And it's something that Melania feels very strongly about, and so do I. And perhaps the people that I called before, come on up, and if you want, bring your families up. Bring your families, and we'll sign all together. Is that okay? Come on. So, you ready? Okay. No auto pen, right, Pam? Am I allowed? No auto pen. Okay, ready? Watch what I do. So quiet. Okay, we did it. Want that? Hand these out. Here you go, you champion. Won so much gold, she doesn't know what to do with it. It's gotten very valuable lately, gold. I want to thank you all very much. That's really nice. You take another one. There you go. Thank you all very much. Fantastic. Thank you.
Everyone, thanks for listening in there to the president and obviously the First Lady speaking to a number of Americans, including a former Olympic medalist. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break and come right back with more news. All right, folks, we are back. We got a new update on what happened in Michigan a couple of minutes ago. So we're going to make sure that we get this to you right now. We'll go to this update here momentarily.
Yes. The committee meets stage this morning to receive testimony on the posture.
Everybody good? Thanks. Well, thank you for coming. I'm Mike Bouchard. I'm the Oakland County Sheriff. Excuse me, I'm kind of losing my voice. A lot going on today. I kind of want to give the 20,000-foot level, and then we're going to have a number of speakers, both from the police department here, Chief Young, and from the FBI. Obviously, a horrific thing happened tragically here in Oakland County again. So we've been through a number of these things, and the one thing that I want to make sure the local community is aware of first and foremost is this community works together hand in glove. This community takes care of each other. And we have been communicating regularly. I have been texting the chief, not just in West Bloomfield, but every place that's got significant houses of worship, Jewish facilities, synagogues, temples, you name it, over the past 2 weeks. Obviously, what happens around the world sometimes affects us, so we have to think about it and be prepared for it. So we've been talking. I texted actually the head of security from the temple 2 days ago and communicated some information to him. So the first thing the community should know is that we not just today work together, we work together all the time. Our state, our federal, and local partners. Number one. Number two, we train. In our world, preparation is important. We hope and pray it never happens, but that's not a strategy. Preparation is. So all of us have been training together for many years for active shooters or active assailants, mass casualty events, and tragically we've had way more than our share. So that is ongoing and is in place. The third thing is important to note, no children and no staff were hurt. So we know there's evil in the world, and we know they only have to get it right once, and sometimes they do. They may not come on anybody's radar and they show up, but what happens when they show up, that's where training and preparation kicks in. The security staff did an amazing job. And you'll get some of the details on that, but they stopped the threat. No kids, no staff were hurt. Now, there were some injuries and things that had to be taken care of. One of the head of security was taken to the hospital. He got knocked down by the car when it breached the building, and we've had 30 law enforcement officers taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. So a lot of our folks from my SWAT team and other agencies are still in treatment because that building became engulfed when the car and we'll learn all of that through the investigation, why it became engulfed in flames, what was the ignition source, and I think the ATF is taking the origin of that source and origin of the fire. But in any event, what it did, it caused terrible, terrible smoke in that part of the building, and so when all of our people collectively went in that building to search out the threat, to remove innocent, a lot of them took in significant amount of smoke inhalation, and they're at the hospital being treated. So I also know you're going to have a lot of questions. A lot of those questions can't be answered at this point because it's super preliminary in the investigation. You know, all of us have thoughts of maybe why this happened, but we don't operate in a world where we can presume something. We have to determine it through investigation and specificity. And that is a work that's in progress as we speak. All of us will work seamlessly together to get the answers, and then it will be called what it is. Obviously, it's a hateful, terrible thing, right? But what drove this person into action, that has to be determined by the investigation. We can presume, but we have to find those facts, and that's going to happen over the next days in time. So we won't be able to get into a lot of the evidentiary questions. But we're available to make sure the community understands that we are still on a very heightened platform. And the most important thing that I would tell the community, don't be afraid to call us. If we're not your own local police department, call your local police department. We'd rather respond to 100 nothings than miss one real deal. The only way we prevent something like this is to get a call. Something's off with my son, my brother, my boyfriend, whatever the case. I saw something posted. That's the only way we interdict, because people are more likely to see or hear something before us. So if you see or hear something, you have to communicate that. And then we can intervene and hopefully prevent. But if we can't prevent, then we respond and mitigate. That's what happened today. And I think based on the early information, it happened flawlessly. So with that, I'll kick it over to my friend Chief Young from West Bloomfield Police Department.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Dale Young. I'm the police chief of West Bloomfield. I want to share with you how we got to where we are today. So today we received a 911 call which came in around 12:19 p.m. It was about an active shooter situation at Temple Israel where the individual drove into the building. West Bloomfield officers arrived on scene under 5 minutes. Temple security officers engaged the individual and neutralized the threat. Our officers, combined with area agencies, cleared the building multiple times and safely and successfully evacuated all children and staff. This is an active crime scene, and we are examining every angle related to this situation. I will now turn this over to the FBI for further comment.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Runyon, last name Runyan, and I'm a special agent in charge of the FBI Detroit Field Office. This is a deeply disturbing and tragic incident, and our deepest sympathies are with the victims, their family, and the entire Jewish community. The FBI is here working with our state, local, and federal partners to investigate this incident, and I can confirm that we are leading the investigation right now as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. As my partners have said, this is an active and ongoing investigation with an active crime scene, and I ask for your patience as we process this evidence and pursue every lead that has come to us and that we have developed thus far. And what I can share is this. There was one subject involved in this incident who is now deceased. And as my partners have said, we've had no victim fatalities. I will not be able to provide additional information at this time on the subject or his motive, as our goal is to protect the integrity of this investigation and to ensure that we give you accurate and timely information as soon as we can. The FBI was notified of active shooter at Temple Israel at approximately 12:45. We immediately activated and deployed all of our crisis response resources, which includes our SWAT team, our crisis negotiation team, our evidence response team, our special agent bomb techs, our weapons of mass destruction team, our cellular analysis survey team, and our victim services, as well as more than 100 agents and analysts to ensure that we are actively mitigating and responding to the active threat, but also pursuing diligently and methodically every lead that we have. My ask to the public is a few things. I know everyone wants information now, but I ask that you be patient as we are still processing this scene and still pursuing everything that we can and that has come to us to date. Second, we've activated a digital media tip line for any witnesses who has photos or videos of the incident today. They can upload those at www.fbi.gov/West Bloomfield attack, all one word. But the public can also report through our call line at 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information about this incident and or any other suspicious activity that you see around in your community, your life, your places of worship, your schools. As the sheriff said, we all need to remain vigilant, and it takes the whole community to ensure that we remain safe. I also understand that congregants may have left some personal effects at the synagogue, and as soon as we have a reunification site to get those effects to the affected victims, we will be sure and release that as soon as possible. I want to thank our partners and the first responders and the security personnel at Temple Israel who did an excellent job at mitigating this threat, and we are very grateful for their bravery and their service. Next, I'd like to bring up our offer-up, Stephen Ingberg, the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Detroit.
As the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Detroit, I'd love to say I'm shocked or I'm surprised, but I'm not. This is something that we train for. Thank you to all of the law enforcement officers who stand behind us and the many who don't. Thank you to our Jewish community security team. This is a tough time. It is a tough time, but we will get through this. We'll get through this together. We'll get through this stronger. And we'll continue to be loud and proud of being Jewish. This will not change us. This will not deter us, and we will continue. With that, I'd like to turn over to Rabbi Ariana Gordon of Temple Israel.
Thank you so much. As you've heard, there's so much that we don't know. We're going to be processing all of this in the days and weeks to come. But what I do want to say is a huge thank you to our law enforcement, to our Temple Israel security team, and to our early childhood center teachers who were the true rock stars of the day. They ensured that all of our children remained safe and calm throughout the entire day and got every single child safely reunited with their parents this afternoon. And for that, I can't express my gratitude enough. We are really appreciative to all of you for making sure that everyone made it home tonight. Thank you for being here.
Okay, I think that's it. Obviously, we can't get into the evidentiary questions, as I said, but I think the message is clear that we all stand united, stand together, whether it's federal, state, county, or local. We're committed to keeping this community safe. If you think you can target the Jewish community in this county or anywhere in this state, you're wrong. We're going to not only stand in front of them to protect them, we're coming for you. So with that, thank you.
That will be all for our media event today. However, the FBI will be giving an update tomorrow. That update, information on the location and time, can be found on their social media. I ask that you follow their social media. If you have any questions overnight, those inquiries can be sent over to the FBI Detroit Field Office. Again, tomorrow the FBI will give another media update. That time and location will be determined and put on their social media. Our local agencies will try and share that information with you all as well. Thank you.
All right, folks, there was that update. We're going to take another quick 2-minute break, and we'll come back with more news here on WCNC Plus after this. All right, welcome back, everyone. Not only did we have that that incident in Michigan, but we had a shooting at Old Dominion University in Norfolk. Let's go to this right now as we get an update from WVEC.
The FBI has agreed to allow us to use their tip lines, and they will funnel the information to where it needs to make sure we get all the information that needs to come in. You can also reach out to the Norfolk Police Department with information, as well as the ODU Police Department. And we do encourage anybody with information to reach out. We are in the very early stages of the investigation. We know that these investigations are long, and we want to make sure that we get the information and do the things correctly to make sure that when When we finish, we have the answers that you want. So I'm certain that we don't have all the answers you want today. But on behalf of the ODU Police Department, I want to thank Chief Talbot and his staff, who were exceptional, along with my officers who were in the building very quick, and this was able to be brought to a resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask President Hemphill to please come up and say a few words.
To say the least, today was a tragic day for the campus of Old Dominion University. Our campus and our community have been truly shaken and forever impacted by this senseless act of violence. And we want to extend our thoughts and prayers to the families and the victims and those that were impacted by this act today. Also, I have to also join Chief in saying to our police officers and our emergency responders from the university, the cities, and all of the other agencies that responded so quickly and mobilized, we really appreciate them for their act. We have to give a heartfelt thank you. Your action and your bravery, as well as your courage, are deeply appreciated by all of those that you serve. To the ODU family, I commit the ODU as we move forward in the hours, the days, and the months to come. We will be dedicated to providing the services and support following this senseless tragedy. Thank you.
Mark Talbot, Police Chief for the City of Norfolk. I don't want to share any details beyond what Chief Shelton has already shared. I do want to say to the City of Norfolk, we've learned nothing here today that makes us think that there's anything to fear beyond what we're dealing with here. We're all here in partnership with our state and federal partners, with ODU, and everything that needs to be handled is going to be handled. God bless this university. The police officers and first responders are firefighters that were out here within minutes, and moving forward, making sure that everything is handled the way it needs to be. Thank you so much.
All right, at this point, as best we can, we'll try to answer any questions that you may have for a few minutes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, David Woodward, CBS 6. At this point, people are probably wondering the condition of the victims who were sent to the hospital. Is there anything that you can tell us at this time?
So the one thing that I will share with you is that one of the victims is deceased, and we are working to get in touch with the family at this point, so we're not prepared to release that information. And the other two, as of right now, appear to be in stable condition.
The victim that went to the Virginia Beach Hospital, was that person less seriously wounded? Why would they go so far to the hospital?
I don't know the answer, other than they did exactly what we asked them to do when something happens, and that's run, hide, or fight, and they ran. And I think by the time, I'm guessing by the time they figured out what was going on, they went to the hospital.
So they drove themselves, or were they transported?
Don't know. It wasn't anything official from us.
Was that third victim also shot?
I don't have that information yet.
In a cynical world of violence, how do you look at a student in the face moving forward and say that we can provide the safety and make sure that you can get the education without the fear of the violence that we've seen today?
You know, I get this question a lot, especially from parents. And I'm a parent of college children. I certainly understand that. So in a cynical world, I guess what I'd have to say is we do everything we can as the university police, the Norfolk police, the state police, everybody that you see up here. This isn't the first time we've ever stood together. We stand together regularly. And we do everything that we can to protect the students here. Every one of these kids are my kids. And I treat them the same way and protect them the same way as I would my own children that are away at college. And I get it, because I have a child who's about 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 30 seconds too far away from me. So I completely get it.
Chief, was there any prior intelligence, any threats, any warnings that led to today?
So I think that's a great question, and that's certainly something that we're diving very deep into. I don't want to get too far ahead of that. I don't have any information to suggest that, but I need to confirm that.
Was the shooter a student? Was the shooter a student?
So at the time that we came over here, we were still working on the identification. What you have to realize is that while we evacuate the victims, we now have to go through and search every single room in that facility. There were students that we found hiding, and faculty and staff, and that we had to safely get them out. That's a long process. So we only opened that scene up to investigators about 30 minutes ago. So we don't have that information just yet.
How was the... Our photographer witnessed that someone else being arrested and taken away in handcuffs. Can you comment on that? Is
that was city police?
Is it city police?
Yeah, I think sometimes there may be people arrested just for or handcuffed just for safety, but there is nobody in custody. The individual that caused the injuries inside of the classroom is deceased.
Was he shot by a city police officer, ODU, state?
We have at this point, as I said, we just opened up this investigation, the scene to the investigation about 30 minutes ago, so we haven't even determined the full cause of death yet.
So it's not known yet if any police fired their weapons?
Not at this point.
We did hear from university, or the branch that works with the university, ROTC, and said they confirmed it was an ROTC classroom. Was there any... Do you believe this was a targeted attack on that classroom?
It is way too early to even begin to surmise what that could possibly be. We just don't know at this point. I know that's the frustration here. I understand that. And trust me, on this end, I want to know too, real fast, real quick, so I can have all the answers. But I can't. And we've just got to let the investigation unfold. And we promise that as soon as we get to that point, we're going to set it up and tell you that.
Was more than one weapon recovered?
We have not gotten into the crime scene. We have not searched the crime scene. And that's enough on that question.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for one more question. Is it known if the third victim was also an ROTC member?
Not confirmed. We haven't confirmed that any of them are, or all of them were. So at this point, that's what we're in the process of doing. I'm not going to surmise that somebody may or may not be.
Can we do a question for President Hatfield? Sure. President, what's ODU doing right now to give resources and counseling for students?
Yes. Yeah, we are very much focused on providing support for our students, faculty, and staff. And so over in our BDC, we are set up right now for those who need support. And we are very mindful of the ways that we will be able to support our students. Because this is a tragic day. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to support our family.
Where should people go for continued university operations for the remainder of the week and weeks to come, knowing that Constant Hall might be a crime scene for several days?
Yeah, we've not made any decisions around Constance Hall. We have closed the university for today, and we are closing the university for tomorrow as well.
What can students expect to see around campus? Will they see increased police presence? And also, was there insecurity with this particular facility? Was there metal detectors or anything like that?
So we don't have metal detectors in our classrooms, in our academic buildings. They're used at special events. We use them. We were there very quick. And based on the number of officers that we have, and the response time was well under what I expected it would have been. We're certainly going to be mindful that we need to be more present. I think that is an expectation that I would have if I were a parent, and we will do that. But it depends on how this unfolds as to what direction we take. But we would definitely want to make our students feel as safe as they can, and presence is a way to do that.
It's been a year and 2 weeks since the last shooting that claimed the lives of 2 people on campus. Have there been any adjustments made since then for campus security?
Say that again. I didn't quite hear you.
It's been, I want to say, a year or 2 years since there was a shooting that claimed the lives of 2 people on campus right outside the dining commons. Have there been any last year? I thought it was right. Have there been any changes made to security, any adjustments, any improvements for campus security?
Yeah, I think every time we have an incident, whether it's a burglary, a shooting, anything like this, we always make adjustments. I mean, that's my whole career. I've been doing this for almost 40 years. You have to make adjustments. And we've made a lot of adjustments in access control, making sure that people are supposed to be there. Same for our academic buildings. We want to, but we're an open campus. And we're in an urban setting, so it comes with its own challenges. But I think that's a fair question, and it is something that we will always assess to see where we can be better. All right, thank you, everybody.
Derek, if you don't mind, I'd like to follow up on your question. I'm constrained in what I can say about the facts of the case, but I can speak a little bit more freely about the bigger questions. I know Garrett Shelton, and I've known him for a long time. I've known Mark Talbot, and I've known him for a long time. These men work every day to make people safe. The people are as safe on the ODU campus as anywhere, arguably safer than in other parts of Norfolk. This is not an ODU problem. This is a national sickness. We live in a country where people care more about guns than they care about 6-year-old children. They care more about guns than they care about synagogue worshipers. And they care more about guns than they do about college students. What that means is that it does not matter how hard President Hemphill works, how hard the chiefs work, somebody will be a victim eventually. It is a matter of time. And until there is the political will to break the spell of the cult of gun absolutism, you will see more incidents like this. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, don't look at anybody up here. Look at our lawmakers who don't have the courage to implement sensible gun control measures. Look to a Supreme Court that enables them, and do something about it. So that is the lesson. Let's mourn the people who have died. Let's decry what has happened, but let's keep the focus where it belongs. It belongs on us and having to change something so that we don't have to suffer through this.
Attorney, you're known for coming to the scene of homicides. What's it like when you come to the scene of something like this on a college campus, just the age of the people involved?
My wife works on this campus. She was locked down today. I know what it feels like. But no matter whether it's on Bagnall Road at 1 o'clock in the morning or in Constant Hall, if somebody's dead, that person's somebody's baby. And that's why all of us are in law enforcement and why we do the work that we do. But we always suffer. We always suffer.
Thank you, everybody.
May I confirm your name and position for the record? Can you spell that, please? Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to go to break real quick. We are seeing there's an update from the ODU shooting. We're trying to get to it. It seems like students on ODU's campus took down the attacker. We're trying to get more information to verify this. We'll come back in 2 minutes. All right, folks, welcome back. For some reason, we're having an issue with our media encoder. There is an update happening on Old Dominion University's campus in Norfolk, Virginia. And in fact, they just said that students killed the ODU shooter. And there's still some discussion about this person apparently shouted something before opening fire from what the FBI says. I'm going to hold off on saying that because we don't know particular information that we're still trying to confirm. But it sounds like the FBI, they have confirmed for us it was a Virginia National Guardsman, a former man who was in the Virginia National Guardsman, Mohammed Jallah. And they are looking at this as a terror-related attack. And again, as I said, we were trying to take this update from law enforcement in Virginia right now, but we're not able to get it. So they were just updating folks that the one victim has been killed. 2 others had been injured at ODU today. And the gunman, as I said, was killed by students. And I'm sure they are talking more about what that situation looked like. And when we get more details, we'll come back to you. But for now, we're going to go to NASA updating us on the Artemis II mission to the moon, which has now been delayed. Let's get more information from them.
A view of the Artemis II rocket and spacecraft inside the Vehicle Assembly Building at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Today we'll discuss the outcome of this week's flight readiness review for Artemis II. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Rachel Kraft with NASA Communications, and we're joined today by several NASA managers who are going to share details about the outcome of the flight readiness review and answer your questions. They are Dr. Lori Glaze, Acting Associate Administrator for NASA's Exploration Systems Development Mission Directorate, John Honeycutt, Chair of the Artemis II Mission Management Team, Sean Quinn, Exploration Ground Systems Program Manager, and Norm Knight, Director of Flight Operations. So we'll have some opening remarks from our panelists today, then we'll get into question and answers from both you here in the room as well as on the phone. A reminder to those who have joined us by phone, you can join the question queue by pressing *1. And with that, we'll start with Lori.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's great to be here again with you all. And thank you so much for the turnout. Thank you for being here and for the tremendous interest, sustained interest even in Artemis II. As Rachel said, we just completed, about a couple hours ago, we completed 2 days of discussions as part of our Artemis II flight readiness review. The flight readiness review is our final big assessment of our readiness for launch, where we are going to, when we launch, fly 4 astronauts around the moon and bring them home safely. An incredible amount of work has gone into preparing for this test flight by thousands of people across our integrated team. At the conclusion of the flight readiness review, I'll just say during the flight readiness review, we had extremely thorough discussions, very open, transparent. We talked a lot about our risk posture and how we're mitigating those risks. We reviewed the challenges that we've had and how we've addressed them. And we talked about the work that remains, what's left to do, and how we're going to get through all of that. We were fortunate to have our crew join us virtually for the review from Houston: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Having them join us in this review really reinforced the importance of having open, honest discussions about our path forward and about the risks that we're asking them to take. At the conclusion of the FRR, all the teams polled go to launch and fly Artemis II around the moon, pending completion of some of the work before we roll out to the launch pad. Just a reminder to everybody, we talk about it every time we talk about this flight. It's a test flight, and it is not without risk, but our team and our hardware are ready. We are planning to roll out to the pad, back out to the pad, targeting next week, a week from today on the 19th. We are on track for that. Everything's going pretty well. Maybe even a little ahead of that, but we're shooting for the 19th. And then once we get back out to the pad, we'll configure for launch. Pending completion of the work in the VAB and at the pad, we are on track for a launch as early as April 1st. And we are working toward that date. I'll say the launch time on the April 1st is at 6:24 p.m. I also wanted to note, I'm sure many of you have seen our little calendar with the green squares on it that shows the available dates for launches in April. We have also just continued to refine our analyses of launch availability and are adding April 2nd to our calendar of potential launch opportunities in that early April launch period. The launch on the 2nd would be at 7:22 p.m. Within those 6 days between the 1st and the 6th, we can't always turn around every day for an attempt. We would anticipate on the order of about 4 opportunities within that 6-day period. Again, while I am comfortable and the agency is comfortable with targeting April 1st as our first opportunity, just keep in mind we still have work to go. There are still things that need to be done within the VAB and out at the pad. And as always, we'll always be guided by what the hardware is telling us, and we will launch when we're ready. I want to close just by saying how proud I am of this amazing team that is working tirelessly to prepare to launch and fly our astronauts around the moon and bring them home safely. With that, I'll hand it over to John.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Hello again. It's good to be back with you all today, and it's even better for us to be ready in the rocket to get ready to roll out again and launch this mission. Probably over the last 7 days, pretty much on, more than off, we spent a lot of time with the senior executives and the leadership throughout the enterprise talking about our risk posture, as Lori alluded to, but moreover, looking at it through the lens of an agency FRR is really more like it's telling the risk story, and it's about how you communicated risk. So Lori said, hey, we need to spend a few days doing just that and kind of wire brushing the team so that we don't put ourselves in a posture of what I always kind of talk to folks about sometimes, don't bring me a kit and make me have to put it together myself. I wanted to be crisp on going to this agency FRR and making sure that we had the kit put together so that folks could understand that we were doing our best job at communicating the risk associated with this mission. Over and over again, we ask ourselves, is the rocket ready to fly? Is the spacecraft ready to fly? Is the integrated team ready? Another piece that kind of drives into that is Amit's been talking to us for several months about failure of imagination. I think we use that term a lot in human spaceflight, right? And so we want to be sure that we're thinking about everything that can possibly go wrong. And have we assessed and adjudicated all the risks to put us in the best posture to be successful? I, like Lori, was very pleased with the outcome of the flight readiness review. Amit asked for dissenting opinions at the end. We spent a little bit of quiet time, giving people plenty of time to come to the table and share any dissenting concerns, and there were none. We took some actions at the FR today. Some of those actions are due to be completed prior to rollout, which I don't think is a big deal. It's just work we got to get done. And then there's some that will come to the L-2 when the enterprise hands over the mission management to the MMT. And like I said, we got a path to close all the open actions either prior to rollout or prior to launch. I spent a lot of time over the last probably 7 months putting teams together to go look at risk across all the individual elements of the enterprise and how they stack up, and then once I got that data put together by the teams, I put together another team to go assess all those integrated risks and how they interact with each other from a top-down perspective and a bottoms-up perspective. And I was really pleased to report, that we didn't find any new integrated risk interactions throughout that process. So just in closing, I'll say that, this is the first flight, like I've always said, of humans in over 50 years and to the moon, and that's certainly exciting. And I've always cautioned the team, and we won't do it, and we're not going to celebrate this small victory that we had on getting through the FR, which was quite a big deal, but it's just a step along the way. So we're not going to celebrate till we get Reed and Victor and Christina and Jeremy safely home. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Sean.
All right, thank you very much, John. Well, first of all, it's good to see everyone here today. It's really incredible that we've set a new launch date to send our astronauts back to the moon for the first time for 50 years. Exactly 2 weeks ago, we had to roll back from the pad after a very successful wet dress rehearsal. And, it was frustrating to have the issue that we had, but, as you know, we had a problem loading helium on the upper stage. We got the vehicle back to the VAB, and we removed the suspect part. It was what we call a quick disconnect, a helium quick disconnect. And we took it to our labs, we x-rayed it, and we found a seal blocking the flow of the helium through the QD. And so at that point, we set upon a path to figure out the root cause. And so we set up some non-flight units down at our launch equipment test facility and proceeded to duplicate the conditions that we experienced when we were trying to load helium on board the upper stage, and we were able to replicate the problem. Since that time, our combined engineering teams across our ground systems and SLS teams came up with a design fix. That design fix was implemented on a test article, and we have successfully tested it, and we have qualified it for use on Artemis II. And the modified QD is already on the upper stage. So I was very, very proud of the team and the work that they did to quickly understand the root cause and come up with the corrective action and get us back in a posture to roll back out. We've also replaced the flight termination system batteries on the ICPS, on the core stage, and the boosters. And we are in the process now of testing the flight termination system in the VAB. So far, the VAB processing has gone very well. And, as Lori mentioned, we're targeting March 19th, the roll date. And should we meet that roll, which we have fairly high confidence we are, it'll be the fastest turnaround in the Artemis program since we started. 22 days from the time we roll off the pad to getting back out to the pad. During that time, we've also charged Orion's launch abort systems batteries. We performed another closeout crew demo in the VAB. And, the closeout crew and getting them trained and making sure we hit our timelines is very important for our launch countdown. And we got it done in a little under about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And so we're meeting our closeout crew timeline, and that was very good training. We also replaced the liquid oxygen seals on the tail service mast umbilicals. And so we thought while we had the time, given the experience we had with the LH2, the hydrogen seals, would be a good idea to change those. So we did that, and that's all completed. And now we've committed to roll again on the 19th. We'll get the vehicle back out of the pad, go through the pad preps, set up our EES system, raise the engine service platform, raise the extensible columns, do all that work, and put us in a good launch posture. Now, I will tell you that over a year ago, we set out to launch no later than April 2026. Amit challenged us to get the vehicle to the pad by February. We held schedule for an entire year. That's quite an accomplishment for all the programs that are supporting Artemis. However, we had the problem with the helium disconnect, and we listened to the hardware and said we're not ready, brought it back, fixed it, and we're going to get back out there for that launch attempt on April 1st. I will tell you that this processing flow has gone very well in terms of our timelines, and we spent half the time in the multi-payload processing facility to service Orion as we did for the Artemis I flow, and we cut the time in the launch abort systems facility by a third. So we're learning. We're all very excited to implement the new vision for Artemis that our administrator has announced to increase our launch cadence, and I think Artemis II is putting on us a good path. So it's good to be here, and with that, I'll turn it over to Norm.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean, and really thank you to everyone for your continued interest in this historic mission. The flight readiness review over these past 2 days was excellent and really heavily focused on crew risk and mission success. As you've heard, we remain on track for an April launch opportunity. Our teams in Mission Control Houston are fully prepared to support this mission. They've been training side by side with the astronauts, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, through countless simulations and really working through every scenario. The team is ready to support both the astronauts and the spacecraft systems through the journey around the moon to when they're reunited with their families after splashdown. I talked with Reed this morning, and the crew is in excellent shape and ready to fly. They have complete confidence in the ground team supporting them. They have built strong relationships with our flight controllers and the integrated teams over the course of their training flow. For an April 1st launch, the crew will begin pre-launch quarantine at about L-14 days, which is March 18th, and will then travel here to the Kennedy Space Center at L-5 days, which is March 27th. This is an exciting time for our entire flight operations team to fly humans around the moon for the first time in over 50 years, send them further than any humans since Apollo 13, and continue paving the road of human exploration to the moon and beyond. As always, our astronauts and their safety remain our top priority. With that, I'll hand it back to Rachel.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll start taking some questions. We will start here in the room. If you're here in the room, please wait for the mic to come around. We'll also take some questions by phone. If you've joined us by phone, please remember to press *1 to get into the question queue. And with that, let's start over here. Marcia Dunn.
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press. I'd like to hear a little bit more about how you fixed this helium. What caused the seal to block the flow of helium, and how do you redesign for that? And Laura, you mentioned April 2. Is that now a new date? Yes. And does that give us 6 tries at the beginning of? So you didn't remove one to? No. Perfect. Thank you. Got it.
Yeah. So without trying to get overly complicated, so the quick disconnect between the upper stage and the ground umbilical, there are seals in there to hold that helium, in the pressure line, and one of the seals occasionally would get forced out of its location that it's supposed to be and block the flow through the quick disconnect itself. We actually ended up removing that seal and reinforcing another seal that would be less susceptible to that phenomenon. And so we'd have this buildup of high pressure gas after we vented the helium bottles. That high pressure gas forced that what we call this body seal out, and we redesigned a channel around another seal that also holds the pressure, a secondary seal, reinforced that, and we've tested it multiple times. We took that QD through some brutal tests to make sure it was going to work, and we feel pretty confident about it for Artemis II. Yep.
And then if I can provide just an explicit answer to Marcia, because I was shaking my head in the room and just want to make sure everybody gets the answer, that yes, we have added the 2nd of April. That is a new date. Previously it had been excluded. We've done additional work, and now we've done the enough analyses to believe that that is a viable date. So it's been added, and it is an add. We haven't taken any other dates away. We have 6 potential dates. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bill Harwood.
Hi, Bill Harwood, CBS News. Since virtually all of you mentioned the risk analysis for this mission, the OIG last week put a report out that put the risk of a of lunar operations at 1 in 40 and the risk of lunar mission from start to finish at 1 in 40, or 1 in 30, I'm sorry. Is there a probabilistic risk assessment for Artemis II? What are the numbers? Since you're talking about assessing the risk, you've got to have some way to do that. So is there a number to put on this flight in terms of what you consider acceptable risk?
Do you want to take that one, John?
Yeah, so Bill, we've grappled with this overall number for a while. What I would say is we understand the risk associated with the individual components, the subsystems, and then the overall systems. I think I talked at the end of Artemis I relative to, new rockets. It's a 1 in 2 chance to make it, right? So I think we're looking at this kind of qualitatively, like I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of reading about, okay, what does that mean for us for Artemis II? And there's a lot of variables there, right? And it really depends on how quickly you get back into flying. Right, and so one of the variables is we've got such a gap between Artemis I and Artemis II, and you don't have that cadence, kind of like we had in shuttle, where we fly sometimes 4 or 5 times a year, right? So Lori and I have talked about this a lot, and so the numbers would tell you just kind of qualitatively that it's probably a 1 in 50. Would be a good number if you were really getting after it and had a good cadence on a second or a third time. But with this gap that we got, it's probably not 1 in 50. It's probably not 1 in 2, but it's probably, like, and I'm quoting Lori on this. It's and I believe it too. It's probably closer to 1 in 2. And that's.
I don't know what that means.
Well, that basically means we're probably not 1 in 50 on the mission going exactly like we want to, but we're probably not 1 in 2 like we were on the first flight. That's what I would tell you. I think we're being really careful not to really lay probabilistic numbers on the table for this mission, just given the small amount of data. If you say anything you don't agree with there, you want to add?
I guess the one thing I would add is you asked specifically about the probabilistic risk assessment, and we do those. We have that. They're numbers. I think sometimes we get tricked into believing that those numbers are somehow really telling us something critically important. I think they're valuable. I think we can do things in a relative sense to measure what's more risky or less risky. But I agree with John that in this sense, I think as we're thinking this through, thinking about it as it's not the first flight, but we're also not in a regular cadence. So we definitely have significantly more risk than a mission, a flight system that's flying all the time. But I'm with him. I wouldn't actually put a number on it.
I can break it down in terms of the mission phases, right? And I can tell you, when we got the most dynamic activities going on, like during ascent, and then when we're doing those burns, doing the perigee raise, and then we're doing the TLI burn, those are going to be the times that we're introducing the most risk into the whole mission. There's a lot of times where we're steady state and we're going to be feeling pretty good about what's going on in the mission. But at the end of the day, we want to accomplish as many goals as that we've laid out for ourselves in the mission. But the main thing that I want to do is I want to hit that damn entry interface right down the middle and make sure that I'm bringing the crew home safely.
Okay. Let's go second row. Will Robinson-Smith.
Hi, excuse me, Will Robinson-Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Maybe just to clarify this just to make sure that at least I'm fully understanding what you're saying. So the 1 and 2, is that essentially to say that there's a coin flip in the mission going fully successfully as architected? And then just secondarily, a quick follow-up. We saw the VAB be evacuated earlier today, and there was some talk of a loud bang. Can you clarify what exactly happened? Thanks.
Sean can get that in just a minute. So I don't want you walking out here and saying that I said this mission's a 1 and 2, right? I'm saying if you look at the data over time, over the lifespan of just building new rockets, right? The data would show you that 1 out of 2 is successful. You're only successful 50% of the time. I think we're in a much better position than that. And the only way that I can put us in a better place than the 1 and 2 is do what we've done, right? Uncover all the risk and make sure we've done everything to buy down risk, give us options to work through challenges that we've got. And then at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be. Now, I'm not being flippant about that, because these teams the individuals are ready to go fly. We have spent a lot of time working through our processes on the ground and in space and for landing and recovery. Teams are well practiced. There's probably not many scenarios that if things go fairly nominal that we don't understand. Norm and I talk about it a lot, where we know we're going to get a curveball thrown at us, and so then we got to weigh our options and assess the risk at that point in time, and then we'll keep moving on.
Okay.
He'd got your bang story there.
Well, let's see. So first of all, we don't know exactly the cause of the loud noise. We had what we call an access control monitor hear it, didn't know what it was, did the right thing, pulled the fire alarm. We rolled the fire engines, the fire department, into the VAB. They did their normal methodical checkouts that they do whenever a fire alarm is pulled, and we declared the building fire safe shortly after that. And we don't know exactly where the bang came from, but we went ahead and shut the VAB down, evacuated the personnel, and did the safety checks. We could not find any sign at all of a fire. The person also reported an odor. We think it may have come from a floor drain, and declared the facility fire safe and brought our crews back in to continue working. I could speculate on what it was, and I just don't want to do that right now. Okay. Yep.
All right, we'll take several questions from the phone and then come back here in the room. First up, we have Jonathan Sari with Fox.
Thank you so much for taking the time. This is for whoever wants to take a forward look, future Artemis missions, Artemis 4 and beyond, the human landing system. The OIG report raises concerns over the elevator in the Starship HLS being the only way for astronauts to move between the surface.
All right, folks, going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll come back to NASA right after this. All right, guys, going to go back to NASA talking about the Artemis II mission right now.
If you're asking about a backup to the elevator or a backup to the Starship, I mean, certainly we do have two options in our human landing system program to provide landers to the surface. We've got both the Starship from SpaceX, and we have the anticipated Mark II eventually from Blue Origin for the other lander that we have on contract. Both of them will have to demonstrate not only the successful landing and ability to an uncrewed landing and ascent from the surface of the moon before we commit to putting our crew on there, but they're going to have to demonstrate that they are qualified for human flight. And that is going to require the safety and the backup systems and the redundancies that are going to be required to keep the crew safe.
Okay, next question we have on the phone is from Jackie Waddles with CNN.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. For John Honeycutt, I think it might help us better understand these risk assessments. Can you just clarify again what exactly you mean by the 1 and 2? Again, is that the risk of this mission not going exactly to plan? And I know, from covering Demo 2 and all going back to shuttle, we're used to having numbers for odds of loss of mission and loss of crew. Do you have any calculations for those specific parameters that you can share with us? Some clarity on that would be great. And then if you don't mind, quickly for Lori, you mentioned that the crew was present at the flight readiness review. Could you give us some insight into what they may have brought up during the flight readiness review, any questions and concerns they may have raised? Thanks so much.
I'll let you. Yeah, you can go first.
I'll go first. Yeah, it was wonderful to have them. They were virtual, they were online, but all four were gathered together online, and they did kick us off with our FRR yesterday morning by saying a few words to us, and they did convey some of the things that they think about and the things that they worry about as the crew members, the kinds of risks that were of most concern to them, and the things that basically they were going to be listening for as we went through the FRR. And they included things that I'm sure won't surprise most of you, things like the heat shield, but not so much the performance of the heat shield. I think we've all agreed that we've got a good heat shield. The question was, are we going to be able to hit that entry interface and get them back on Earth safely? And so they were listening to make sure that we have that really nailed down and we were going to be able to hit that entry interface. Understanding communications challenges and making sure that they'll be able to maintain communication with Earth. And that's one of the things they were looking at, those risks. The environmental control and life support systems, power systems, things like that. The things that could cause some challenges to them while they're in flight. So we really appreciated them sharing their thoughts with us. I will also share, I think one of the things that they mentioned was, we've spent the last 25 years in low Earth orbit, and they wanted us to make sure that we all recognize as the board members that this mission is different. We are going well beyond low Earth orbit. We're going out to the moon, and we can't always rely on our experience in low Earth orbit when we're taking this kind of a mission.
All right, let me make another run at this. I've had a little bit of time to think again. All right, so on the 1 and 2, all I'm saying is when you don't have a lot of data to pick from and you want to go generate a probabilistic number, the way I got the 1 and 2 is to just go look at the rockets that flew their first mission, right? How many of them were successful? It's about 1 and 2, right? And so people, I don't want people to take that as being that we should be scared to go fly, because we're not scared to go fly. We do an outstanding job of understanding the risk, buying down the risk, mitigating the risk, and putting together controls to manage the risk. But I think you get in trouble, and we had a little bit of conversation on this today at the FRR, not specifically about, it's kind of indirectly about talking about generating probabilistic numbers, right? And so you can use a probabilistic assessment in a way that might scare you unless you go look at, for instance, take for example losing foam, right? And so you can say, okay, there's a X and Y chance that I'm going to lose foam off the rocket. Okay, but then something else has got to happen. It's got to be in the right place, and then you got to work through the demise chain. What it's in that area, based on the analysis we can do, what's it going to hit? What if it does hit that? What can it do? And so, you know, when you work through all that from a technical standpoint, you can put yourself in a better place rather than just solely relying on a probabilistic number. And Bill, I totally get what you're saying, because we used to, in shuttle, we used to have a 1 in N number for loss of mission and a 1 in N number for loss of crew. And, you know, I think those numbers, I don't go back to STS-1. I started probably around STS-36 after Challenger. But, you know, those numbers were always a 1 in N. Norm, you might remember how the range was about, you know, a 1 in 130, 1 in 140, and it improved over time, right? And it's driven by the stuff that you do to make the launch vehicle or the rocket better and put yourself in a better position to mitigate the challenges that you got. So, you know, it's just, I feel like we're kind of we're being a little bit dangerous, and it's interesting that I didn't get this question asking me about it too much on Artemis I, right? And I understand why, right? We got people on the rocket this time, so people go, oh shit, pardon my French, but you know, it's just like, how can that be, right? Well, it's looking at the data. So it's we can probably pursue. I know we have pursued loss of mission, loss of crew type number assessments, but I'm not sure we understand what they mean in reality. Now, I'll give you an example, right? You know what the biggest risk we got right now in the Enterprise? Micrometeor debris. That's it, right? Now, in my mind, is that real? It's real, right? But when have the last two bad events occurred? Going uphill in that highly energetic event. That's when it occurred, right? So, you know, we can fool ourselves sometimes into thinking, really, is that the biggest risk to the mission, MMOD? That's, I'll make for some good reading over the next few days.
Okay. We'll take another from the phone from Josh Dinner with Space.com.
Hi, thanks so much for doing this. You've talked in the past about the stress rollout can have on SLS, and I didn't hear a mention of another wet dress rehearsal. What would be the justification for skipping another wet dress, and will you have any way to assess that helium QD back at the pad?
So I'll take the first part of that as far as the wet dress. And we've had a lot of discussion about this. Every time we tank the vehicle, it takes a little bit of the life out of those tanks. And so we certainly want to test and always make sure that everything's working. But, you know, we've now done a couple wet dress rehearsals. We've exercised the team. We've exercised the hardware. And I'll just tell you, from my perspective, when we tank the vehicle the very next time, I would like it to be on a day that we could actually launch. I would like to do it on launch day, and if we successfully are able to successfully fully tank the vehicle, I want to be able to pull go to launch. So that's where we are at this point. And you know, we don't want to give up any of the days in our April launch window for a wet dress rehearsal.
And as far as testing the QD at the pad, well, we've already tested the new QD in the VAB as part of our pre-launch checkouts. We do pressurize the helium bottles, and we exercise the helium system on the upper stage, so we've already verified that the new QD is working in the VAB already.
We'll take one more question from the phone, and then we'll come back here in the room. Next up, we have Katrina Miller from the New York Times.
Hi, thanks so much. I was curious for anyone who wants to answer, can you go into a little bit of the specifics on what work needs to be completed prior to the rollout and then
All right, folks, we do have some breaking news I want to get to before we close out our hour. We're hearing reports of an American military refueling plane, a KC-135, that went down in Iraq, and apparently there's another one missing. We're still trying to confirm that, so we'll have more for you tonight at 11 on that, and including this update on ODU and ROTC students where one person was killed, 2 wounded, and the shooter was killed as well. And it sounds like ROTC students subdued and killed this gunman on Thursday in a classroom at the university. We'll have more for you tonight at 11. We'll see you on WCNC Charlotte.